we basically have become a hiatus podcast. Like us dropping a video is like, I don't know, Playboy Cardi dropping an album.
But our videos are
Like,
good though.
welcome back, everybody. Been a long time, and again, a different sport. So, welcome back, everybody. Back Pocket Podcast, NFL Week 1 predictions. I will say this: we may not be as consistent as we were, but we will always get predictions out to you for some of the weeks of the season. We always
Most
will.
of the weeks.
Most of the weeks. We
At
can,
least two of us will be there
yeah.
at most of these weeks.
We can promise you that much. As always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-hosts. No Charlie today, but we do have Surge and Dylan. Gentlemen, we're juniors in college, which is crazy because I remember when we went to school and it was like, wow, we've been doing this for so long. We're now juniors. Like we're 20. I'm not 20. Oh, Surge, I guess. Oh no, Surge, you are 20.
I'm
Like
20.
we're met, like we're actual
Yeah,
like
nah,
people
for real.
can really make fun of, can actually criticize us, and the excuse can't be like we're 14 years old anymore. So
I mean, to be fair, we still got hate when we were like 14,
yeah, oh
15.
yeah. I mean,
So
I was getting 14 years old allegations last year.
yeah,
So
that's
like
yeah. But nevertheless, we're back for week 1. Very excited. Another NFL season. Red Zone has ads now, so I was debating even doing this video because I was so angry about that. But I guess we'll have to watch some ads, and that's just gonna suck. But gentlemen, how do we feel? Look, week 1, close prediction battle last year, by the way. Very, very close. We were neck and neck. I believe it was like 4 games from first to last. Charlie did win it. I think I was in the lead for most of it, but we will be keeping track of our records as well. Do along with us. If again, we get busier and busier every year. So if for somehow we're not posting a video some week, we are keeping track of that. So just so you guys are aware of that. But gentlemen, how do we feel quickly before we get into our first game?
I mean, excited obviously for me as a Jets fan, best time of the year. Week 1 where there still is optimism. Yeah, I think honestly we were talking about it before we were actually recording, but there are no locks this week. I feel like this is really all out in the open. Anyone really could be at least something this year. So I'm excited for the season. I mean, I know that's a cliche, but it feels that way.
I've been cheesing for football, man. I've been waiting. We were in the sports dead zone from July up until early August when the Premier League and top five European leagues started. And I'm a big MLS fan, so I was watching MLS throughout the summer. I was doing my internship with Westchester Soccer Club, so I was getting my feed of soccer. But it's been almost what six months since football. I almost just said 6, 7 accidentally.
I knew I could
I'm
see it.
so
I could see
I'm
it.
so serious. I didn't want to do that, but it has been that amount of time. And I've been for the past week just waiting for football to start. That's been the item on my clock. So I'm really excited to get into this.
Yeah, without further ado, let's do Cowboys Eagles Thursday night. Once again, I'm an hour behind, so 7:20 p.m. Central Time for those wondering. I keep forgetting, Surge, you're not.
By the border.
Yeah, but look, starting off with a great game. Super Bowl champions against division rival Dallas, who are a new look Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, now with George Pickens, no more Micah Parsons, which is huge. A very, very new look Dallas Cowboys. And look, I will say this. In my opinion, this is a very easy pick Eagles. Whether you think that's, just following the media or whatever people say. This to me is a very easy pick. Look, I think it will be high scoring. I think the Cowboys, as much as they do not prove and they fail in big moments, they have consistently been a team that can put up points. They always do. If Dak's at quarterback, if you have CeeDee Lamb, you bring in George Pickens, who we know is a huge play receiver. I think he only accelerates that offense scoring wise. So to me, again, easy Eagles pick. I think the Eagles win this game. But again, Dallas are always there. And again, they're generally a team that start off hot and then trickle off. So, look, I do think easy Eagles win, but there is that part of my mind that Dallas could come out shooting here, and this could be much closer than we think. But yeah, I mean, Philadelphia haven't really lost anyone, are one of the best rosters I've seen since I've been a fan of the NFL. I don't see this team losing many games this year, and I don't think that will start week 1.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Philly as well. I know obviously the consensus around the Mike after the Micah trade is Dallas's defensive line is terrible. They have no chance. What I will say is I do like the array of pass rushers that they have on that defensive line. They're getting a little bit underrated, but stuffing the run, I think it's just gonna be a chore to watch. Kenny Clark was brought in to be that run stuffer. He is not a good run defender, by the way. At least he hasn't been in recent years. I think Philadelphia are going to have their way. But I do agree with Kian. I think it will be a high scoring game because I checked today. Apparently, Philadelphia are slated to start Adoree Jackson at cornerback and Sidney Brown at safety, which I think is rough for that. Considering again a Dak led offense, two great wide receivers, solid enough offensive line, in my opinion. They're going to put up points as well. But I do think Philly win on Banner Night that they claim to not have known it was Banner Night. But I'm going to go with Philly as well.
Yeah, I'm a believer in what Philadelphia have set out to do offensively this year. But just a reminder that in our Eagles preview that we did, in which we did no other teams, I said the secondary was going to be a problem, and I think the secondary is going to be a problem. But Philadelphia on the offensive side of the ball, still arguably the best offensive line in the league. You have arguably honestly, at this point, inarguably the best skill position player in football in Saquon Barkley. And then Devontae Smith and AJ Brown separated against corners that Deron Bland is a name people know because he scored a bunch of touchdowns and caught a bunch of interceptions. Trayvon Diggs is a name that people know because he had a bunch of interceptions a couple years ago, but he actually has gotten better over the years. But this is a secondary that is not particularly good. And I think Philadelphia's passing offense this year, especially without Kellen Moore being in there and doing his weird, intricate designs that really only helped Saquon at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a much better passing offense. And although Dallas do have good high end pieces, I think Dak's a top half quarterback, CD's a top five receiver, George Pickens is a great addition. They have no run game, they have no stability. They're not going to compete in this game. I've got Philly by 10 plus.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where it'll be. Philadelphia just through and through are a fantastic football team. And I think that's what we will see. But again, exciting game. Look, first game, rivals matchup. I also think not having Micah Parsons is absolutely gigantic for because that's the kind of player that can win you a game where if he just has one of those Micah Parsons games where he gets 3 sacks, where he stops a run, where he's able to disrupt the pass game just because of how good Micah Parsons is. I just think it gives the Cowboys that much less of a chance. But we'll move on now. We have Friday football as well, which is fantastic. Chiefs Chargers, another divisional matchup, and and again, this maybe this is a retrospective thing, but I, especially with us doing so much soccer and just us as a group of individuals who are friends and talk about sports, we talk a lot about soccer. So I haven't, not obviously NFL is always in my mind, but when, with the fantasy draft season coming up, the Chiefs just have, I was just like, wow, I have not heard about the Chiefs this offseason. And I guess when you kind of think about it, the Chiefs generally aren't. They're always good. They're always that. But Mahomes was going late in fantasy drafts, and I'm just like, wow, I have not heard the Chiefs that much. And it was definitely surprising to me. But they face up against LA. And I don't know if this is, in my opinion, a confident Chiefs win. I seriously could see the Chargers, year two of Harbaugh, who seems to be turning this team around. You get another Herbert year. Omarion Hampton, who has looked fantastic throughout his training camp. It's a tough pick for me, and I'm going to hand this off to you guys because, and again, maybe you guys don't agree with what I was saying, and I guess we don't really hear about the Chiefs a lot because they're just always good, and the Chiefs haven't been a big kind of blockbuster trade deal type of team for the most part, besides I guess like Hopkins, but he was far past his prime then. Um, I mean, what do you guys see in this game? Week
Yeah, I mean,
one, tough matchup for Kansas City.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're right, exactly. The Chiefs aren't a team that usually make waves in training camp because we just kind of expect what we expect, and we usually get that from Kansas City. I think this is going to be the year that Patrick Mahomes gets back to the level he was playing at in his MVP season. And I'm going to give you one reason for that. Josh Simmons. He was the 31st pick in the NFL draft. By all accounts, has been lighting up training camp and finally giving Mahomes some security as his blindside protector, finally giving him some security on that offensive line is going to pay dividends for them. And I think it's going to show immediate results in a week one win against LA, who I really like this team going into the offseason, but the loss of Rashawn Slater, their bookend tackle, is going to be huge for them. And I think it's really going to have that cause them to probably regress a little bit compared to last year.
My only issue with the Chargers is their lack of variety on offense because you have Hampton and Najee, which is by all intents and purposes a good 1-2 punch in the running game, but Najee Harris was only what, a week and a half ago he was a Pirate. And now you see a guy like Omarion Hampton who should be a good back in the NFL, but in his first NFL game against the Kansas City Chiefs, can you really rely on him to set the pace? And that's what a Harbaugh-led team does. And this offense is going to need to rely on a back who we don't know what we're going to get out of him. Lad McConkey's a great starting wide receiver, but against the Kansas City Chiefs team that historically has done very good against inside route running receivers, I don't know exactly how that's going to pan out. Now, to the Chargers' credit, Harbaugh has always played against the elite quarterbacks very tough. You look at the games they played last season, the Chiefs and the Chargers were neck and neck throughout both of those games, and in one of them, Harrison Butker hit a game-winning field goal off the post and in. So they're going to play them tough because that's what a Jesse Minter defense does against good teams. And that's what Jim Harbaugh historically has done against good teams. But when Kansas City is playing against a team that's going to play them tough, they always find a way to win. And I have been so historically against the good team finds way to win metric, but that's the only thing I can think of for Kansas City at this point because last season, by any metric, they should have only won 10 games and they won 15. So I think Kansas City is the better team. I'm going to give the win to Kansas City, even if LA do match up well against them.
Yeah, and I will as well give it to Kansas City. I think because of how clinical they are in week one, uh, you give me this game week 10, couple injuries on each side, maybe LA sneaks out a win, but I just think and I feel like this is congruent throughout most seasons, teams like the Chiefs generally win week one. And I think that's what it'll be. They're familiar faces on each side. I think it'll be an extremely tactical game in terms of coaching wise. Um, and I won't count out the Chargers. I definitely won't because the Chiefs were I wouldn't say they're more beatable because they have Mahomes, but they're not, in my opinion, not as scary as they were, that Mahomes MVP season because we haven't seen him get back to those heights yet. Obviously, he's been incredible, but not that MVP status. But yeah, I will as well give it to Kansas City. We'll move on to Dylan's love. Miami Dolphins face off against a new look Indianapolis Colts with Daniel Jones as their starting quarterback. Tua Tagovailoa somehow is still in the NFL starting for the Miami Dolphins. Dylan, will pass it to you. When you look at your team's game against Indianapolis, what are your thoughts?
This is a good week one matchup to have. For a team that I don't have particularly high hopes for, this is a pretty
Confidence
straightforward
booster.
it's a pretty straightforward win. The Indianapolis Colts are going to be one of the worst teams in the league this year. As far as the offense Miami's going to run, I expect more of the same. Achane was ruled active for this week, barring any practice injuries. Hill and Waddle are projected to be the 1 and 2 receivers again, barring injuries again, because Hill's been dealing with a wrist thing throughout the entirety of the last 2 seasons. But what's moved me the most about this Dolphins offseason is their emphasis on the trenches, which is something that we didn't see Miami do over the course of any of Tua's career, or honestly, any time I've watched the Dolphins. Drafting Jonas Iovinea in the second round, as well as Mason Graham in the first round. Not Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant. That was, yeah, in the first round. That is one of the smarter moves that I think the Chris Greer, Mike McDaniel duo have made in their drafting time. And then just bringing in veteran presence, even though they're not necessarily the best players, but James Daniels is someone that I have high hopes for going into this year. And while I'm not necessarily super high on what this team can do down the stretch, and my heart definitely does not lie the same way that it did for Tua Tagovailoa, now I do think they're going to win this game.
Yeah, the Xavier Howard revenge game, by the way. I
No,
don't know. I did not
no.
remember that. But yeah, I'm gonna go Miami too, I think. I think just because I mean Indianapolis, they don't have that bad of a roster, but I just Daniel Jones starting in the year 2025. I think
Yeah,
that's just
I don't know
looking.
how
It's
he pulled
just
that off.
looking. I mean, to be fair, it's against Anthony Richardson, who I did have high hopes for, but
Still, yeah,
that I think that offense is going to be bland to watch, very just unfun to watch. I feel bad for Shane Steichen because I actually do think he is a good
Yeah.
coordinator, but he's not going to make wine out of water here. And I think Miami, even though they do have a secondary to be had, Indianapolis aren't going to be the team to do that. So give me the Dolphins here.
yeah, I'm as well going to go with the Dolphins. I think, Daniel Jones starting, obviously I give credit to him. He's somehow finagled 6 years out of this league. And as a Giants fan, I got five of the worst of those. Look, maybe he's different in Indianapolis. I mean, credit to him, he's beating out a first round quarterback who was just recently drafted, who was one of the most physically gifted quarterbacks we've ever seen come out since Cam Newton. So there has to be some credit given to Daniel Jones. And again, I would not be surprised at all if the Colts did win this game. I agree with you, Dylan. I think the Miami Dolphins are going to be very average this year. Um, but I do think or excuse me, Miami takes this one. We'll move on to Surridge's favorite team, New York Jets, face off against the past in Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. A new-ish look Steelers as well. Same coach, so you assume 9-win, barely make the wild card team in Pittsburgh. Surge, new era. Wait, also you guys as well. Fields faces his past, his first love in Pittsburgh. Or wait, Justin Fields has never played on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't
No, he
know.
did.
Oh no, he
He was
did.
with the
I'm
Steelers
thinking
and
of
then
the
as a
Bears as the first. Excuse me,
yeah.
the Bears were the first. I thought the Steelers were first team. Excuse me, not his first love. His rebound in the Steelers. Surge, Jets Steelers. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, we just got a killer blow today. Elijah Vera Tucker now out for the season with a torn
Jeez.
triceps, and he's someone who is our best offensive line. The main thing is he just cannot stay on the field, and he was someone that I think was going to be a huge part to our team, where we're going to be a team heavy zone blocking, run the ball probably more than anyone else, maybe other than the Eagles and the Ravens in the entire NFL. So losing someone like that is just a killer. I still think we do have the players and pieces to be a good running team, but against a Pittsburgh defense where, look, to say the least, I do not trust Justin Fields to throw against them. We're going to need to be able to run the ball. And Pittsburgh, meanwhile, I think they can be had. I think that Aaron Rodgers was very bad under pressure from a firsthand witness. You have a guy like Aaron Glenn who is going to bring pressure on third down. He's not going to make Rodgers' life easy. I'm gonna be biased and I'm gonna say we're gonna win it. And it is a bit of the delusion, it's a bit of the homer in me. But I do think we can still run the ball on this team. I think our defense is gonna play lights out against Rodgers, against their one guy in DK Metcalf. I think the Jets win this. I think they win this. And it is biased, but I think we're a team that probably younger, a bit fresher. And in the NFL, that makes all the difference when you're going against a team like Pittsburgh who have so many 30-year-olds, a 40-year-old. I think we win it.
I agree. I
Hmm.
think New York win it also. And I know for a fact we're gonna come back and the Steelers are gonna have one, and Surge is gonna be like, "Here we
Yeah,
go again,"
no.
blah blah blah. But I could also see where we come back and Surge is happy.
Look,
I like
it's
the defense. I agree. I think Aaron Rodgers is far past what he was. I think they should have just stuck with Russell Wilson and all, or excuse me, not Russell Wilson. Or no, yeah, my brain's not working. Um, yeah, I think for it'll be a close game. I don't think this will be a high scoring game. I think this will be very much a defensive matchup. I like Fields. I was a fan of the Jets move. I think I think he could be a good quarterback on the Jets. Again, I say that kind of stutteringly because he just has, yet to pan out. But I will give it to New York to give some hope into Jets fans. We shall see.
I don't say this to be hyperbolic or over exaggerate in any way. I think this might be a matchup between the two worst offenses in the NFL in week one. I
Mm,
think with Aaron Rodgers at the helm in Pittsburgh and the only player on that side of the ball that moves me as a skill position player being DK Metcalf, and those two really not being well made for each other in the way that they play because Aaron Rodgers is someone that thrives on a scramble and thrives throwing the ball to someone who can create separation. DK Metcalf is someone who thrives I can beat this guy physically. I don't think that that's a mesh that's going to work. And then you look at the rest of Pittsburgh's offense, it's a bunch of nobodies that managed their way into an offense because Mike Tomlin decided it's not worth it to try to rebuild. It's worth it to try to make the 7 seed.
Respect Robert Woods.
I respect Robert Woods' past, but the Jets on the flip side, I think a little bit more lively, but more prone to a mistake. Justin Fields has not shown in his 5 or 6 years in the NFL that he is capable of throwing a football. And the receiving room, what was very good last year, has just turned into Garrett Wilson FC. There's really nothing else there unless they use Breece Hall as a complementary receiver. So you look at two very weak teams on the offensive side of the ball. I think the Jets get the upper hand in that room just because Justin Fields has a little bit more explosiveness to him. Well, a lot more explosiveness to him than Aaron Rodgers does, but it's good. In terms of being outweighed, I do think Justin Fields is the better quarterback for this game than Aaron Rodgers. I don't know about across a full season, but I don't think that Rodgers is going to do a good job against a Jets defense that knows him pretty well and a Jets defense that's going to be able to get pressure to him, especially against a relatively weak tackle pairing to what they were in the past in Pittsburgh. I'm going to give this game to the Jets very dangerously, I guess. I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling good about it, but that's just the way I feel about Pittsburgh at this moment.
Yeah, who would have thought jet sweep? We'll move on to our next one, another 1 o'clock Sunday, Panthers Jaguars. And generally with the Panthers, we'd be like, yeah, man, worst game of the window. But it's a Panthers team that I would say is on the rise. It may be a very slow and almost flat rise, but they are there. Bryce Young obviously had a great end to the season. You bring in Hunter Renfrow, who is, as you guys know, and as many peers have said in the NFL, one of the best route runners in the league. You obviously have Xavier Legette. You bring in Tedero McMillan, who I think is going to be a fantastic wide receiver, at least from what we've seen. He has all the physical tools. So I think it's a good Panthers team. And then obviously it's the Jaguars, who have not reached the heights we thought they would with Trevor Lawrence at the helm. Again, do I think this is one of the best games of the weekend? No, but I do think it's two teams that have something to prove, especially with Carolina. I'm very torn with this, so I'm going to do another handoff to you guys because there are two parts of me where it's like, is it the Bryce Young and the Panthers last year that just have absolutely zero offensive capability and very average defensive capability? And is it the turnover-ridden Trevor Lawrence? And again, kind of similar. Because both teams have that upside of, you have two, highly touted quarterbacks that obviously have talent, but you don't know which side you'll get. So I'll pass to you guys. What do you guys think when you look at this game?
Yeah, I mean, Panthers Jaguars has never looked so fun, honestly. I mean, mainly because the phenom that is Travis Hunter will be playing, and right now listed as a starting receiver and backup cornerback. I feel like he will get a lot of snaps on defense, though. I'm going to go with Carolina, and I've been singing their praises all offseason. I really love what they've done with the defensive makeover. They're getting Derek Brown back, bringing in Tershawn Wharton, who had a great year in Kansas City, drafting two really exciting pass rushers in Princely Amonmielen and Nick Scordon to really give them that pass rush juice that they lacked so desperately last year. I agree with you. I think this is a Carolina team on the rise. I think we saw that. I don't think what we saw with Bryce Young last year was a fluke. I think it does hurt. They're not going to have their number 2 receiver Jalen Coker for the first 4 weeks, and they did trade away Adam Thielen. But like you said, Hunter Renfrow looks great during camp, one of the best route runners in the game. I think it's still a good enough receiving room to succeed against this Jaguars secondary, and I think the Panthers will take it in Jacksonville.
I think Carolina's going to blow them out. I do not believe in this Jacksonville team in the slightest going into the year, and that's even going past where I see Trevor Lawrence as a quarterback, which is a bottom 12 to 10 quarterback in the league for what he's shown us at this point. This defensive coaching staff there's not a single person in the defensive coaching staff that's ever called a play. You have a secondary group that, barring Travis Hunter, is void of a lot of talent. Tyson Campbell's a great cornerback. Outside of that, if Travis Hunter's the backup, I don't know what they're trying to do there. The rushing group, it's pretty much just Josh Hines-Allen. There's really nothing in the front that screams starter to me.
It.
I'm saying the edge rushing group.
Oh, edge rushing.
But, yeah. And then on the offensive,
Allen?
Josh Hines-Allen, that's what I said. Outside of him, there's really not
Trayvon
much.
Walker?
Here we go.
Are we doing this?
Yeah,
But
double digit stacks. Yeah, no.
I'm playing with you.
That's ridiculous.
I'm playing with you. I'm playing with you. That was a setup, and it took too long to get realized. But
Yeah.
on the offensive side of the ball, I don't have much faith in anything that this team is going to do. The Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, Byshell Tutin running back by committee group is just very painfully average. I like Liam Cohen as an offensive coordinator. I don't know that he has the man management skill or the staff picking skill to be a head coach. I don't think this team's going to be very good. On the flip side, I think Carolina is heading in the right direction. While it might take them a couple more years to really truly realize their potential, as much as I believe more in Bryce Young than Trevor Lawrence, I believe more in Dave Canales than Liam Cohen. I believe much more in where Carolina's going than where Jacksonville's going. I've got Carolina winning this game.
Yeah, I'm similar. Keep it congruent here. Not much separation. I think Carolina are trending up, whereas Jacksonville are trending the same or even down. Um, I do think it's a year for Trevor Lawrence where if he if he is how he has been, there are some questions in Jacksonville if he is going to be kind of their guy going forward. And we will move on. Arizona Cardinals, New Orleans Saints. Tyler Show Saints. No, it is not. It is the Spencer Rattler Saints, as they have announced him as the starter in week one. Kind of surprisingly, we thought it would be the show. If you get it, you get it. I really am. I really never lose it, huh? Uh, but yeah, again, not a blockbuster game per se. But again, two teams where you look at the Saints, you have another offseason, a very disappointing second half of last season. And obviously, Arizona, you get year two of Marvin Harrison that has been very hyped up amongst NFL media, where, is the steal of fantasy drafts, and he's going to have a huge year. And obviously, Kyler Murray, we know what he has done. But again, I feel like this is similar. I think this is a little higher echelon game of the Panthers Jaguars. But the Saints are pretty terrible though.
Mhm.
Now that I'm thinking of it, because I was like, yeah, well, the Saints, obviously last season they had that fantastic start, but they're pretty bad. So Arizona win this one.
Yeah, for me, three words to describe New Orleans: suck for sellers. I think this is going to be a really bad team this year. Not really much to hang your hat on offensively. I mean, other than Chris Olave, who obviously has his injury concerns.
Trade requests incoming.
Yeah, I honestly would not be surprised at all. The defense has some nice pieces. Chase Young's kind of quietly had a nice rebound year there, but the roster as a whole might be the worst in the NFL in my opinion, and I'm not really excited about Kellen Moore either. So yeah, Arizona, meanwhile, I actually am very excited about.
Yeah.
I think their defensive line, they're missing Walter Nolan for the first 4 weeks of the season, but you have him, you bring in Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson, and that secondary could be really good. I mean,
Jeez.
you have Will Johnson, who they drafted in the second round, which obviously wouldn't have been a second rounder if not for the injury concerns. You have Garrett Williams, one of the best nickel corners in the NFL. You have three good safeties in Buda Baker, Jalen Thompson, Adrian Taylor Demerson. It is a really loaded group that I feel like no one's really talking about. So they could be a team that is a sneaky contender for the NFC West. And I think this is probably the nice trampoline game for them where they can just start off on the right foot. So yeah, Cardinals easily here.
These are two on the lowest of keys unstoppable objects. You've got the week one Saints, who always seem to, for whatever reason, play very, very well, against week one Kyler Murray with a realized defense. Two very historically good groups. I can't justify ever picking the Saints. I doubt I'm going to pick them more than once this season with the roster that they have. Spencer Rattler is the worst starting quarterback in the league, and outside of Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave when healthy, and you said Chase Young, I'll add into that Demario Davis. That's
No.
pretty much all this team has.
Unk still got it.
I do think Unk still got it, and I do like the Kelvin Banks pick in the draft, but I just don't think this team's going to be any good. And I agree that Arizona really could push for that NFC West with the defense that they have and the defensive coaching that they have. I think Jonathan Gannon's one of the brighter defensive minds in the league. Give me Arizona.
Arizona sweep. We'll move on. Giants Commanders. We're gonna have some disagreements here. I already know that, but look, obviously, Commanders with breakout Jaden Daniels has been absolutely fantastic. You bring in Terry McLaurin after some turmoil in the contract negotiations there. Obviously, that is huge. I'm sure Jaden Daniels was pushing for that, and obviously, as Commanders fans, you must have been on the edge of your seat because losing Terry McLaurin would have given this season a whole different direction. And the New York Giants, who I am extremely excited to watch this season. I thought this would not be a good season. You bring in Jackson Dart, who I think has been the best rookie quarterback in preseason. Obviously, Russell Wilson, who we know can move the cogs of a wheel if he has good players around him. You have year two Malik Neighbors, who I think, when healthy, I think might be the best receiver in the National Football League if he's healthy for an entire season. Uh, Obviously, you get Tyron Tracy year two. You have Cam Scatabo, who we will, push all over the field. I think this offensive line is much better. Um, yeah, I'm excited. Defensively, I kind of forgot to talk about our best position group. I think healthy, we have the best defensive line in the National Football League. Um, yeah, I think this Giants team is going to do outperform what people are saying. And keep in mind, we have the hardest schedule in the National Football League. So obviously, outperforming may not be what you think in your mind, but people are saying, over under 4.5 wins. I think we go over that. And I think we win against Washington week one.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I'm gonna say before I go into this. Since we've started this channel, I don't think I've ever been high on a Giants team. Even the year they made the playoffs, even the year after they made the playoffs, I've never really been bought in on them. I'm bought in on them this year. I really think so. I think their defensive line, I don't know if it's the best in the league, but it's certainly in contention with how good Abdul Carter looks already, with Thibodeau, with Burns, with Dexter Lawrence.
Darius
That second,
Alexander.
Derek, I liked him out of the draft. Haven't seen enough from him, but I love that defensive line in general. I like the addition of Paulson Adebo in the secondary, and they've got Drew Phillips, who's a great nickel corner, and two good safeties as well. I think offensively, I think Russell Wilson is still capable. He's still capable of being an league average quarterback. You have Malik Neighbors, who I wouldn't say can be the best receiver in football, but he could certainly be in the top five conversation very, very soon. I think you got good running backs. I think this is a team that realistically actually can contend for a playoff spot. And you know what? I'm going to pick New York too. And the main reason for that is because I am low on Washington. I'm low on Washington. I did not like what they did. Again, firsthand experience. I don't know how you could see Javon Kinlaw play last year and give him 15 million. That defensive line will be starting Von Miller in the year 2025. I do like their secondary, but other than that, it's a really weak defense. And Frankie Louvu, but it's a really weak front seven. The offense, I like, obviously, Jane Daniels is great, but outside of Terry, I don't know about Fat Bo in the year 2025. Can I say that? I don't know.
Yeah, you can say
But
that. I agree.
but I don't know. I don't know about Debo in the year 2025. It's a team that I feel
Fat
like is
Bo.
ready. I feel like it's a team that's basically staring regression in the face, considering I know they had those old players and succeeded last year, but another year where you're getting used to Cliff Kingsbury, get to the line quickly, another year where Washington are going to be in the shotgun more than almost any other team in the NFL. And I think teams will start to catch on to that. And I think the Giants shock the world and win week one.
So where I agree with you guys, or you specifically, Sarge, is I fully believe in the Commanders' regression because I don't see a vision in the run game and Von Miller and Bobby Wagner and Laramie Tunsil and Debo Samuel. This is a 2020 Madden fantasy draft we're looking at. This isn't really like a congruent and complementary football team. Jaden Daniels is a better quarterback than Jackson Dart and a better quarterback. Russell Wilson's the starter. Jaden Daniels is the reason I'm going to pick the Commanders to win this
Yeah,
game.
that's the one.
Because like on one hand where I very much do see the Giants defense honestly being a top 10 maybe 5 unit in the league. I think people are lower on the secondary than they need to be with Adebo and maybe an improved year from uh Deontay Banks. It could be a legitimately good defense. I just think Russell Wilson sucks. That's really where my problem lies. They're not going to win a lot of football games against competent teams, and while I believe in a regression, I still think the Commanders are a competent team with good defensive coaching from Dan Quinn. Daniels wins them the game. Give me Washington.
Yeah, that's the one worry I have. But who would have thought Giants take the split there? We'll move on. Buccaneers, Falcons. Divisional game. I'm not super excited about either of these teams. I feel like both, generally congruent from what they were last year. I will go Tampa Bay here. I think Baker Mayfield, I've always been higher on him than other people. You obviously as well bring in Egbuka, who I think improves that receiving core. I think Mike Evans has one more year of consistency. So I'll take Tampa Bay here.
Yeah, I think the Buka pick really shows why you draft BPA over need because wide receiver was not a need going into the offseason for Tampa Bay, but then you lose Jalen McMillan, you lose Chris Godwin, you cut Trey Palmer, which is interesting to me, and I think that pick actually looks amazing right now. Tampa Bay win this one. I think way better offensive line, way better defensive line, even if Vita Vea isn't healthy. I love what I've seen out of Elijah Roberts this year. They're just a well-run organizations, and well-run organizations they hold up for a long time. And I think Tampa Bay will win this one.
I want to preface this by saying I really do believe in both of these groups. And while I don't necessarily like Michael Penix as a starting quarterback, I think Atlanta's done a really good job in building a solid group on the offensive side of the ball. But I think Tampa Bay are legitimate Super Bowl contenders this year. I think this is a team that could be very, very good down the stretch with an elite defensive line, an elite offensive line, Baker Mayfield, who's played phenomenally for Tampa Bay, and then one of the best receiving groups in football once Chris Godwin and Jalen McMillan get back. And you add on to that Bucky Irving, who had one of the best rookie running back seasons last year and is only going to look to compound on that. I think Tampa Bay, just in terms of pure roster composition and good coaching on both sides of the ball, they lost their coordinator, Liam Cohen, but I think that's something that's replicable with the players they have. Tampa Bay is going to be one of the teams to watch this year. I've got Tampa winning this one.
All right. We'll move on, and this will be the quickest one. I think this will be the biggest blowout of the weekend. Cincinnati Bengals against the Cleveland Browns. I think Cleveland is going to be back to just, paper bags on fans' heads. I think they're going to be absolutely terrible. I think they'll be right at the bottom with New Orleans. Cincinnati, again, I think are so much better, and especially just in a high-octane offense that can put up 40 points in any given game. I think Cincinnati blow Cleveland out of the water in this one.
Hear me out. Cleveland win it. I know I'm going with the.
Damn
I'm
it.
starting.
I was gonna do it. I was gonna do it.
I was starting. I'm kind of going ham on the upset picks now, but I just think obviously week one Cincinnati, but that's not my real reasoning. Cincinnati's defense looks just as bad as they did last year. They look arguably worse, honestly. I don't think they improved them at all. I mean, Hendrickson probably still needs a couple weeks to get up to speed. Shamar Stewart not really starting. Don't know how he's going to be from the gate. Linebacking core still looks bad. Secondary still looks bad. I'm not excited about that team on defense at all. Offense, we know what they are. But since Cleveland quietly have a very good defensive line with a lot of young guys that they can rotate heavily, and they've got their alpha still in Myles Garrett, I think they're gonna make Joe Burrow uncomfortable enough that they will need to rely on their defense, and that goes only one way for Cincinnati. So I think Cleveland pull off the upset here.
Who is going to score for Cleveland?
I'll tell you who's going to score for Cleveland. You've got Jerome Ford, you've got Jerry Jeudy, you've got David Njoku. There's a lot of guys on this team that
Harold Fannin.
They don't necessarily have the name that you're
Njoku,
looking
2 years
for.
past his prime.
Jerry
Jeudy doesn't have someone to throw the ball to him. Jerome Ford is the 17th best running back in the NFL.
We could play that game, but if you look at a Cincinnati team that, again, week one Cincinnati, let's put this in our brains and remember what happened last year where they lost to a Drake Mayless New England Patriots team. I think Cleveland, again, you said it, Serge, have one of the best defensive lines in the AFC. You've got Myles Garrett, you've got Mason Graham, and the secondary isn't that far behind with Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome making up a great secondary, great cornerback duo. The offense is going to struggle, but I just don't think Cincinnati is a good football team. If we just put it down to brass tacks, the trenches are terrible. The run game, I know Chase Brown's a hot fantasy pick, but he can't break a tackle to save his life. The defense in its entirety is bad, and while I don't necessarily trust 49-year-old Joe Flacco to win a football game, I definitely don't trust Zach Taylor to win a week one game against a division rival that, again, Cleveland historically have Cincinnati's number. I wanted to be original and make this pick. I guess I have a teammate. Give me Cleveland.
I get an automatic win in this one. This will offset my Giants pick. We'll move on. Raiders, Patriots. Ashton Genty hyped up Raiders against a Patriots team that I would say as well are maybe ticking up the ladder. You get year two, Drake May. You bring in Stephon Diggs. I think, again, not a blockbuster game, kind of run-of-the-mill 1 o'clock game, but two teams with something to prove. I think have improved. I would say overall, you have Geno Smith in Las Vegas. I think the Raiders win this one, and I think Genty could have a big opening game in Las Vegas, but this could be a close one, and this is one of the ones I'm the least confident about.
Yeah, I go Vegas too. I think again, this may be a bit of my homerism going in here, but the Patriots spent so much money to be very, very mid, in my opinion. And I don't think they have any X factors on the offensive side of the ball because Diggs is coming off the ACL, and then other than that, it's Pop Douglas. Defensively, they're going to be strong, but I don't think they're necessarily top five in the league strong. The difference to me is Vegas have the X factor, and that's Brock Bowers, and the Patriots do not have that X factor. I think this is a very similar level teams otherwise, so I'm gonna go Vegas here.
I believe in Drake May a lot more than I believe in Geno Smith. And I think Geno Smith's made his way around this league post Jets in a garbage time facility. I don't think he's a particularly good starting quarterback.
I don't think anyone thinks that though.
And Vegas are gonna regret giving him what they gave him because this is a team that's gonna be one of the worst in the league. People believe in Pete Carroll and his ability to fix what seems to be incredibly broken. And then they have Genty and Brock Bowers, who are, no matter how bad this team is, going to have excellent individual seasons. But you look at the defensive side of the ball, Vegas, far from good. New England, on the other side, pretty average. On the offense, Vegas, pretty average. New England, a little bit worse. And I think the defensive team is going to win this one. Give me New England.
All right. Sorry, we got to plug in the computer. Um, we will move on. 1 second. All right. We will move on to an next one, another good one, divisional matchup. Speaking of Geno Smith, his old lovers, the Seattle Seahawks against, I don't know, I keep saying that. I can't think of another word. Um, Against the San Francisco 49ers. Gentlemen, when we look at this game, what is your outlook on this divisional matchup to start off the 405 window?
Yeah, I think these are two teams going in different directions. I think the Niners, I mean, well, they to be fair, they do have a pretty young defensive line now. They've tried to rebuild that with drafting Michael Williams, CJ West, Alfred Collins, but I think going against the Seattle team that I feel like are much more advanced on the defensive side of the ball. I think Byron Murphy's due for that breakout year alongside Leonard Williams. You got two really promising young corners in Reek Woolen and Devon Witherspoon. You got a bunch of edge rushers you could throw up against the passer. You got one of the best defensive minds, sorry, in the game in Mike McDonald. And I think it's an improved offensive line, specifically in terms of run blocking. And I think they're going to try and do that, and they're going to do that successfully against this Niners team. I'm not even going to mention Sam Darnold. I think he'll be a fine placeholder in that offense. And I think Seattle are going to win this one. I really like the move with Clint Kubiak, and I think he's going to get the better of Robert Saleh.
I like what Seattle have done across the board as well, but I think I like what San Francisco are looking out to be a bit more because a healthy Christian McCaffrey, a fully healthy Brock Purdy, and the San Francisco trenches that have been historically very good, I think just line up a little bit better than what Seattle have to offer. I really like bringing in Robert Saleh as the defensive coordinator. We saw he was able to do as at least a defensive factor in New York for the last 3 years. The offense never really panned out, but that's what it's going to be. Seattle have the worst quarterback, though, in my opinion, the worst scheming. And as much as I do like Mike McDonald, I don't think he matches up to what Kyle Shanahan is built to be. So I'm going to go with San Francisco to win this game.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go San Francisco as well. I think bringing Robert Saleh is a extremely smart move. I think he will slot in just as he did. Um, some people, and I've always been a proponent of this. Some people are just meant to be coordinators, and they just can't really handle the weight. And Saleh was one of the best defensive coordinators during his time in San Francisco. So I think that's a fantastic hire. Yeah, I don't hate the Darnold signing as much as other people did. I'm more of a not a hater on Minnesota because obviously you have JJ McCarthy and Darnold needed a contract, so it wouldn't have made sense to pay Darnold and then have them have that QB battle. But uh, definitely if you're Minnesota, it's kind of tough seeing him go because of just how good of a season he pulled out last year. but I think he will in some ways kind of hit the ground running. In Seattle, you have Cooper Kupp, who is a quarterback's best friend. I think for a new quarterback, Cooper Kupp might be the best kind of receiver to have. Um, but yeah, I will go San Francisco. I just think better team. But again, this I think will be one of the better games of the weekend. You have kind of two new look teams. But I will go San Francisco. We'll move on. Tennessee Titans and Cam Ward and his best receiving room in the NFL, apparently, against the Denver Broncos, year two Bo Nix, who was fantastic last year. I did say that I thought the Bengals would be the biggest blowout, which I do still think it will be, but the Broncos might be. The Broncos might do it to the Titans this matchup. I will say I'm a believer in Cam Ward. I think he has a solid game, but it's a very good defense in Denver, an offense that was very impeccable last year with Bo in terms of Bo Nix as a rookie quarterback and the expectations with him coming out. um, Great season. So I think Denver starts flying and kind of gives Cam Ward his welcome to the NFL moment.
Yeah, I know everyone's really been drinking the Denver Kool-Aid saying they're going to win the AFC West and all that. I'm not one of those people. I don't think they're that good, but I think their defense is as advertised, other than maybe being a bit weak at linebacker outside of Jerry Greenlaw. But yeah, they're going to beat Tennessee. I think Cam Ward, first start against the best defense in the NFL on the road in is he on the road? Yeah, he is on the road in rainy conditions. I mean, far from ideal. Like you said, receiving core, it's Calvin Ridley and Prey right now. Not that bad of an offensive line, but I think overall it is a very weak team in general, and I'm not a big fan of that defense either. So Bo Nix will have a fine enough game, and the defense will do the rest. Give me Denver.
I think this is a toss-up. I'm not too
Really?
concerned. I'm not too concerned about Cam Ward's ability to play in a rough condition. I think he's someone that really does have his head on his shoulders. Is going to be a pretty clutch quarterback down the line. I'm going to give it to Denver just because I think their defense is so far ahead of any other unit in this game. But as far as what I think Bo Nix can do, I am not drinking that Kool-Aid. I don't think he's anything above a top 20 quarterback at best, and the running game is non-existent. The receiving group is the same as it was last season. It was a pretty disappointing offseason altogether to me, if you look at what Denver did. And on the flip side, other than firing Rand Carthon, which I didn't quite understand, I thought Tennessee did pretty much everything they needed to do. I think it'll be a good game, but I think Denver will get it.
Yeah. We'll move on what could be the game of the week. Never mind. I just looked. This is one of the
Dude,
best
yeah,
ones.
I know.
Uh,
Yeah.
it could be. Lions, Packers. Yeah, wow, these next four games are fantastic. Lions, Packers, obviously history between them. Micah Parsons now led Packers defensive line, which I am extremely excited to see, just because of obviously how high of a level that Detroit defensive line is. Obviously, you bring back Aiden Hutchinson, if I'm not wrong, or is he still out?
No, no, he's back.
Yeah,
He's
he's
good.
back, which is obviously more than massive for Detroit. The Jordan Love Jared Goff matchup. This is a very tough game, as it always is. I will pass it off to the Detroit native. That's
Mm,
just not true. But
close enough. Close
Surge,
enough.
Surge, when you look at this game, I mean, I guess I'm also in Wisconsin, but um, this is a tough one.
Mm. Yeah, no, absolutely. Micah trade obviously complicates things because it takes Green Bay from, I thought, one of the worst pass rushes in the NFL to now automatically one of the best with him teaming up with Rashawn Gary. But these I feel like are the games Detroit lives for in the Dan Campbell era. A game where they're hearing all the hype about the Packers, who are apparently favored to win the NFC North now, how they're going to be one of the best teams in the NFL, they're Super Bowl contenders, and now all of a sudden all the attention's off them. This is the game they live for. And this is still a team that everyone's forgetting went 15-2, won the NFC with about a billion guys on IR, and they're getting a lot of them back. And I think realistically, when you look at a team and their biggest weakness is their first round pick, Tyreek Williams, and they're gonna get a Lynn McNeil back. But anyways, that's not the point. This is a team with
Won the
no
NFC.
weaknesses. Won the NFC
Uh,
like the conference, like they won the one seed basically. Yeah,
uh,
yeah. But when you look at that, a team that doesn't have any weaknesses compared to a Packers team where you can glaringly say They still look pretty weak against the run inside. They still look like a team that doesn't have great cornerbacks. A team where I don't know if they're a great pass blocking team either, honestly. I don't know how Jordan Love's going to look. There are too many question marks compared to this Detroit team, so I'm going to go Lions.
I'm also going to go with Detroit, and I do believe that Green Bay are legitimate Super Bowl contenders with Micah Parsons. I don't know how quickly that's going to translate because no matter how big of a star you are, you need time to adjust. You need time to adapt, and especially with his injury to his back that we're hearing about now, it might be a little bit of a process for Green Bay to get accumulated to having that kind of guy on their defense. I think their offense is pretty much what it was. Matthew Golden doesn't move me any more than Jaden Reed does, and the running game is going to.
That's just disrespectful. Jaden Reed is one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL.
No, no, I'm not saying it in a way to underplay what Jaden Reed is. I'm saying for a first round receiver, you're expecting someone to come out there and be the guy.
Jaden Reed
He was
was
third round. He was third
receiver.
round.
No, I'm saying for Matthew Golden. I'm saying
Okay.
for Matthew Golden to me is just another Jaden Reed. And that's not a bad thing, but I don't think he's the alpha in the offense. I think
I don't
it's
think
still
so at all. Matthew
think-
Golden is much more deep. That Jaden Reed is a safe pair of hands.
Yeah,
Jaden Reed's a
I think it's still a Josh Jacobs run offense though, and that's what's going to make this team tick. But on the flip side, Detroit is still arguably the best team in the league in terms of roster, in terms of trenches. They're going to have a little bit of trouble, maybe this game too, just because they're missing or they lost their two coordinators to head coaching jobs, and that's never easy to recover from. But I think that they are a well-run organization that do the right things generally, and they'll be able to come out on this game, come out of this game on top. I'm going Detroit.
I'm gonna go Green Bay.
Mm.
I think this offense is terrifying. I think you look at just the amount of options that are there. I think bringing in Micah Parsons, I think he hits the ground running. I think a player like that, it's not like he's coming in as a quarterback. It's not like he's coming in as a cornerback. I think Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary might prove to be the best edge duo in the NFL. I think this might be the year where Jared Goff hits a wall, and Jared Goff is the mid quarterback that he was. I mean, I guess, obviously he did go to Super Bowl in LA, but I think this might be that year. I don't know why I have a hunch, but also at Lambeau Field, I think the Packers take this one and build on that hype, and I could see them being serious NFC contenders this year. And I'm a big fan of this team, and we obviously know the talent Jordan Love has. So I'm gonna go Green Bay. We'll move on. Another fantastic game. CJ Stroud led Texans against the Stafford-led LA Rams to end off the 3 o'clock window on Sunday. Gentlemen, another great game. How do we feel about
3
this
o'clock
matchup?
window. That's utter
That's
woke
4 o'clock.
nonsense.
Boo. Come on. Yeah, I'm gonna go Houston for this one. A bit of an upset pick, but I think again we've talked a lot about in this episode about adjusting Stafford. He's been out for almost all of training camp. He's just getting back. I know he is a vet, and maybe sometimes they're gonna be like not practicing as much as they used to, anyways. But it's still something that I feel like is very important for a team that has a couple of new pieces like Devontae Adams on offense, Terrence Ferguson, the rookie tight end. I think maybe starting. I actually do not know. But I do like what Houston have done. I think Houston, although I didn't think this at the beginning of after the offseason immediately, have a better offensive line than they did last year. I think a big part of that is Ariante Ursary, their second round pick, has looked good at left tackle. You have Ed Ingram, who shockingly looked very good in preseason. I know I was surprised as you were, Dylan.
Talking about offensive linemen,
it's-
nobody has no idea who you guys are talking about.
Hey man, hey.
That's what they're here to see.
That's what they're here to see. I think Houston, I think CJ Stroud is due for a bounce back year with a full season Nico Collins, hopefully, and Christian Kirk being added to that offense as well. And I think that defense will still be one of the best in the league because at the end of the day, if you have two elite pass rushers, if you have two or three great cornerbacks, you're going to be one of the best defense in the NFL.
Christian
So,
Kirk ends the worst contract in NFL history.
hey,
Saga.
we can. Oh yeah,
I'll
he's
never
might be.
I'll never
He
forget that
single-handedly ruined the wide receiver market. I think
Yeah.
after
Really
that,
did.
Yeah,
he really
I'll never
did.
forget that.
with
deal.
all due respect, but he actually was a good player in Jacksonville. It's just
not what he was getting paid for.
Yeah, yeah, but
I mean, the year after he got that contract, he had a career year and like lowest of key lived up to it. But then after that, it was
yeah,
all
yeah.
downhill.
It's just the thing is that beforehand, how do you pay Christian Kirk
No,
for what he did in
exactly,
Arizona,
exactly.
21 million? This isn't meant to dog on Christian Kirk. He's a very solid receiver and will be a good number two, but yeah. Anyway, I'm going Houston though.
I'm going Houston as well. And I was going to touch on this before you did, but you've read my mind throughout most of this episode, Serge. I was shocked by the success of the interior offensive line during this preseason and during training camp. I thought this was going to be one of the worst units in the league in terms of any position group, and they actually flipped it and turned into one of the brightest units that I was able to pay attention to. Ed Ingram, who I was more surprised that you said it because I was going to say it
Hmm.
was really, really impressive as someone who's never been impressive. But into things that people care about, CJ Stroud is the best quarterback in this game. And Matthew Stafford, that's not to discredit him, but he's dealing with some things injury wise that you can't get past as a 35th. What is he, 36 now? Yeah, it's
37,
like he,
36, 37.
but it's not really something that you can just glide by at that old age, unless you're Tom Brady, which I'm not. I don't think Matthew Stafford is. The Rams are a little bit more complete on the offensive side of the ball when you look at skill positions. I think Kyron, Puka, and Devontae Adams are one of the best units of skill position players in the league. But Houston have Nico Collins, and Houston have a lot of depth receivers, as well as a better offensive line in my eyes than LA, as crazy as that sounds. I think Houston, and then of course, in my opinion, the best defense in the league. So I'm gonna go Houston.
I'm gonna go Houston as well. Another year of Stafford, another another year in age. I think losing Cooper Cup was obviously massive. I think Cooper Cup is fantastic, and I think losing him to a division rival is obviously extremely important. Uh, and Devontae Adams, I'm just not a big fan of anymore, as I'm sure Surge you aren't either. So I think the Rams receiver room is worse. Obviously, you still have Puka there, and yeah, I honestly like Kirk more than I like Stephon Diggs. Um, so yeah, I will go with Houston here. As we'll move on to what will probably be the best game of week one, which I feel like we had this game last week one,
Um,
or was it Bills Chiefs?
it was Ravens Chiefs. It was Ravens Chiefs. It
Okay,
was like
yeah.
two of the big three.
Yeah. Bills, Ravens, 8:20 Sunday. Ooh, this is a tough one to pick. Obviously, MVP, Josh Allen. And they actually just brought back Gabe Davis, which was funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Obviously Joey Bosa as well on that defensive line. Gentlemen, what do we think about this one?
Yeah, I'm torn because I like what Buffalo did with the defensive line. All accounts, they look like they're going to be a great unit there. I think the rest of that unit is looking really shaky, especially with Maxwell Harrison being out for a few weeks now. You have Trey White starting again, which isn't good. Teron Johnson, who's still a good nickel corner, but not the all pro he was a few years ago. And that safety tandem is bad. So I don't really like their defense. Baltimore, by all accounts, maybe a weaker offensive line, but this I feel is like the year for Baltimore. And I think everyone's been saying it, but you got Mike Green in the second round. We know why he fell for off the field stuffs. On the field, he's shown why he is a first round pick and why he should have been at least a first round pick. And he's going to make a big difference for them immediately. And the secondary with Malachi Starks and Kyle Hamilton, that's going to be one of the best units in the NFL. It's shaping up. I think if not now, then when for Baltimore. I mean, it is their window is Lamar's whole career, but at the end of the day, this might be one of their best chances. And I think they're going to start off on the right foot, getting a revenge on Buffalo in Buffalo, beating the Bills there.
Woohoo.
So I think that Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in football. That's no secret to anyone that watches this channel.
Here we go.
I think this is the year that they win the AFC and make it to the Super Bowl. I'm not going to predict who wins the Super Bowl. It's too much of a hassle. I think Buffalo wins this game though. I think going to Buffalo in week 1 with a rowdy fan base that feels just as hungry as you do and with one of the best defensive units in the league, again, I think very much undervalued by the average NFL fan. They kind of just see this team as Josh Allen and inshallah. This is much more than that. I think Buffalo have this game written all over them because they tend to do a really good job against big teams in prime time. And while I think Lamar might have a better game than Josh Allen because he's a better quarterback, I don't know that it's going to be enough to carry them over the line. Even though I do think they have very comparable teams, I think Buffalo being at home pushes them over.
The Bills do not do good against teams in prime time.
Yeah, they do.
22 seconds.
I
Ring
mean,
a bell.
the playoffs is different than prime time. I'm saying regular season prime time.
They have struggled against Casey. Oh no, not against Casey. They struggled against Cincy in prime time. I do know that.
This
But
is tough.
Since he's not a good team though.
This
yeah,
is
exactly.
this is yeah, that doesn't help your case, Dylan.
No, I'm saying good. I said
Uh,
they've done well against good teams in
uh,
prime time, but
Fair enough. Fair enough.
um, I honestly think the fact that this is in Buffalo is a huge deal. That atmosphere week one is going to be incredible. I mean, just I think Derrick Henry, it's his last year of Derrick Henry that is fantastic, unstoppable. If he doesn't get injured, this run attack is the best in the league with Lamar and him. Rashad Bateman obviously has been obviously one of the best receivers for
Your
a
king.
long time now. I mean, 5 years, been top five. Um, I want to go Buffalo, but I want this is tough. I'm gonna go Baltimore. I'm gonna go Baltimore, and this is a tough one, but there's not much reason. Like obviously these games are generally 3-point games, and I think this could honestly come down to whoever has the ball last. But I will go Baltimore in a close one because I'm more of a fan of this roster holistically, and I think that run attack Buffalo just always have a trouble defending it. Um, so that's what I'll go with, and we'll move on to our last game Monday night, 8:15, another divisional. The JJ McCarthy redshirt
Mhm.
rookie year led Vikings against the Chicago Bear led by Caleb. I that messed that up. The Caleb Williams at Chicago Bears. Uh, Another tough one. Because what comes out of Caleb Williams this year? That's not the way to put it. What does Caleb Williams uh do this year in Chicago to
Don't.
make
I'll
it
let you
there?
this take this one because I know what you think about Caleb.
I'm very high on Caleb Williams. I think he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the league. It might be not be this year, but it's going to come. And there's no better way for it to come than with the Ben Johnson
Okay, you guys are
offensive play call.
trying.
I didn't. I was just speaking with the Ben Johnson scheme. It's very quarterback friendly, and I think that it's going to work very well with Caleb Williams, but that's not even the guy that I want to discuss because Caleb Williams, for all intents and purposes, is in his rookie season. He had last year to kind of get in, but that was a Matt.
No,
That was a Matt.
bruh.
That was a
I
okay.
wouldn't say that,
No,
but
no, no. You're right. That was a bad way of phrasing it. But he had Matt Eberflus kind of weighing him down. Now he gets to really. It's really his welcome to the NFL because we didn't get to see what Caleb Williams is. And on the flip side, it's the same thing for JJ McCarthy. Who do I think is better, Caleb Williams? Do I think it's close? No. But what I want to see from Chicago and what I think I will see, and I'm just going to say this right now, Chicago's going to win this game, is the diversity in their receiving options. And having Romo Dunze, DJ Moore, Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet, and then Luther Burden is probably one of the most stacked receiver groups in the league. And the guy that I think is going to be the one to really take the reins as as the receiving option is that tight end that they drafted at 10, Colston Loveland. We've heard reports coming out of their camp that he's going to be the Amon Ra archetype in this offense that Ben Johnson loves to run. And it makes sense for a skinnier but still bulky tight end to do the Amon Ra job.
Because that makes sense.
Skinnier in terms of
God,
he's not a blocking tight end,
Yeah, yeah.
but bulky in terms of he's still a big.
he can block. He can block.
He's a
I
big
do
wide
believe he
receiver.
can.
He's a
not
big wide
John
receiver.
Pork.
He's a big wide receiver, and I think Minnesota's going to have a little bit of trouble dealing with what they had trouble dealing with last year in Detroit, just in a different team. So I'm going to go Chicago to win this one.
I'm gonna go Minnesota, and I think they were a great team last year. Obviously, the big change, Darnold for JJ, but I think the story is how much better they've gotten in the trenches, and they were already a solid team in the trenches when they were healthy. At least having Darisaw, having Brian O'Neill, having guys like Grenard and Van Ginkel, but I think you have now year two of Dallas Turner. You add guys like Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen. You have young guys that are waiting to break out. Again, I'm going to say a name that no one cares about, but is going to be an important player this year. Jalen Redmond, someone who's been the best run defending defensive lineman in the NFL.
Surge. I care.
Oh,
I
thank
care.
you. Thank you.
We do not care.
And I think I seriously think they've turned into one of the best defensive lines and offensive lines in the NFL this offseason. And I think getting Adam Thielen back is huge for a team that really only had two professional receivers on the team before that. So I think they're going to go into Chicago and beat the Bears. I don't think it'll be the JJ show. I think they're going to try and run the ball a lot successfully because of that offensive line. And I'm a team that's high. I'm someone that's high on Minnesota. I've said it all offseason. I think they've done a good job. So I think the Vikings will win this one.
I'm gonna go Vikings as well, and we were very similar, but I think we've all split the past 4 or 5 games. I just think they still have Justin Jefferson. They still have Jordan Addison, which you guys didn't even touch on. Like I think, you get most of an offseason with McCarthy last year, and obviously, you don't get him in the season, but I just don't think Chicago have an answer to that still. Again, this is all weighing on the fact that McCarthy can throw the ball well, which in this day and age in the NFL is honestly hard to tell from rookie quarterbacks like Justin Fields, like Caleb Williams, at times. If they had Darnold, I would no doubt go Vikings. I think Dylan, you might as well. If they did have Darnold, I do think McCarthy is the question mark here. And then Serge, you kind of hit the nail on the head with all the defensive pieces there. But I am going to go Minnesota. I think they are the more dominant team. But again, I wouldn't be surprised. You're hoping if you're Chicago, a huge breakout from Caleb Williams here in year 2. But that'll end it out for us. Back Pocket Podcast Week 1 predictions. Comment your predictions down below. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, all that for our clips. Key McDermott, Serge Carly, Dylan Shalom. Charlie Nidell will be here next time. Hopefully week 2 next week. Yeah, man. NFL season started. This is season 6, I want to say, the channel. Season 7.
Season 6.
How did we?
Oh
I
my
don't even
God.
know. Yeah, that's crazy because that was just completely unintentional. So, season 6. But yeah, thank you guys all so much for watching. Do you guys have anything to say before we leave? You don't get to say anything because I could just edit it out.
It's football season, everyone.
It's football season.
That is not tough. No one's putting you in an
It's
edit.
football
Oh,
season.
Let the games begin.
Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time.